What's going on, everyone? Thanks for entering the Lobby of Hobbies. I'm Jazz, and I'm back bringing you another Kickstarter preview, this time for Dice Hospital ER Emergency Roll. Now, this one is the roll and write version to Dice Hospital, which was a worker placement or dice placement type game, both of these published by Alley Cat Games. So big shout out to them for sending us this preview copy to check out. Now, in ER Emergency Roll, your job is to treat the patients coming into your hospital. Now, they're going to be coming in the form of dice, and they're going to be coming in on different ambulances. Your job is to find them a bed in your hospital so that they can get treated, all while trying to score the most points and become the winner. Now, if you're not familiar with roll and write type games, but enjoy puzzles like Sudoku, this one is probably worth checking out. So we're going to take a look at this, ask ourselves the question on the other side, can you dig it? Just to see whether or not this game is worthy of your backing on Kickstarter. This one is set to launch on April 26th. Now, understand that the components that you're going to see are all in prototype form and things are going to be subject to change, so stay tuned and check this one out. To set up a game of Dice Hospital ER Emergency Roll, it is fairly simple. Players will first each get a game sheet along with a pencil or writing utensil, and they will then shuffle the ambulance card deck, returning 3 cards to the box unseen or 2 cards in a 5-player game. They will also place the 3 dice next to the deck, and then they will shuffle the cardiologist, radiologist, and epidemiologist decks, selecting 2 cardiologist, 1 radiologist, and 1 epidemiologist to play during the game and placing those in the center of the table, returning the remaining decks to the back of the box. Then players will randomly select a first player and they are given the chief physician token and play is ready to start. Now, just before getting ready to play, players should be mindful of the various scoring opportunities that can be awarded to them through the cardiologist, radiologist, and epidemiologist cards. The cardiologist cards are in-game scoring goals that players are trying to race towards to be the first ones. Now, while the radiologist and the epidemiologist cards are end-game scoring conditions. For example, this cardiologist card says that the first player to gain 3 nurses is going to get 8 points, while the second place player is going to get 5. This radiologist card here says that players will gain 2 points for each patient of value 4 or higher adjacent to an X-ray lab. And this epidemiologist card says that players will gain 3 points per cluster, whether it be even or odd-shaped clusters in a triangular shape. Now, play will start with the chief physician flipping over the top card from the ambulance deck and then rolling the patient dice. They will then take the patient dice that are rolled and place them in the correctly colored ambulances. The chief physician is going to be the first one to draft a die from the available dice to them. So let's say they draft this green 2-valued die. They would not only gain that patient, but also the ambulance bonus. In this situation here, 2 stethoscopes. They would circle those 2 stethoscopes on their board. And all subsequent players can choose of the 2 remaining dice. Now, those players will be able to choose the same die if they choose, gaining the associated ambulance bonus. Players, once they have their chosen die, will place the number value of their patient into their wards of the hospital, and they must place it in a matching colored bed. For example, this green patient must be placed into one of these green beds, specifically the beds in the front of the wards, being that the stipulation for placing patients, you must go from the front of the ward to the back of the ward in ascending order, with the higher values towards the back and the lower values towards the front. Players can also place patients of any color into these gray beds, being that gray is a wild bed. Now, once players write their number value in, the play will pass to the next player, who will become the chief physician for the next round. And I'm briefly going to explain how the different ambulance bonuses work. Now, there are 6 different types of ambulance bonuses that can be obtained throughout the game. Stethoscopes will allow players to use them to change the pip value of dice plus or minus 1 for each stethoscope that they use. Blood bags will allow players to change the color of the die that they select, or they could use blood bags to choose the same exact die that was selected by the chief physician. Nurses will allow you to cross off the nurses within the same ward that you place your patient and grant you endgame points by circling the nurses you collect. Critical patient icons will allow you to place them next to the die value that you've drafted, then giving you, for example here, this 6 will allow you to gain 6 points at the end of the game. So you would sum up the value of all your critical patients. Curtains will allow you to place a curtain around a patient. Let's say I place a curtain around this 6, allowing me to then place any number after that 6. So thus I can start with a green 1 or a 2-1. So it allows me to break the rules of ascending order in my wards. The last one are additional die placements. So if you were to draft a red die from this ambulance, it would also net you a yellow die of either a value 5 or a 6. And those are the different types of ambulance bonuses that are available throughout the game. Now, to understand how endgame scoring works, let's look at this card from a previously played game. Players will look at all of their completely filled wards and take the sum of those wards and add them into this box here. Players will then take the sum of their critical patients. They will look at the nurses that they have gained and tally up that score here. They will also look at their endgame scoring from their radiologist cards, any points that they gained from the cardiologist cards, and then any endgame points from the epidemiologist cards. They will lastly subtract any patients that died in the morgue, and then they will get their tallied up endgame score, and that's how you score a game of Dice Hospital ER emergency roll. Now that you see how the game is played, let's ask ourselves the question, can you dig it? First starting off with the diversity factor. Who is this game for? Personally, I think this game works well for new all the way up through experienced gamers, and those are the people that I've played this game with the caveat that new gamers might find it a little bit overwhelming at first, all the different parts that you have to pay attention to. Not only are you paying attention to placing those patients in that ascending order throughout your different wards in the hospital, but they're also paying attention to the various bonuses that you're trying to acquire to help maximize your play from round to round. But everybody that I've played it with really, caught on after, a couple rounds of the game or after a game or two. So this is one that I think everybody can easily, play and come to enjoy. Now, how inviting is this game? While I don't think the artwork is going to wow you, it is done clean, it's done legible and easy to understand. And it's a roll and write. It's something that is designed to be played quick. It's not something that's going to wow you with its grandiose table presence. It's going to really draw you in with its gameplay, and it's one that does have solid gameplay. So the last question, which everybody wants to know, is this game good? Now, when it comes to different roll and writes, I've played quite a few over the past year. This is one that I really enjoyed. It's something that has a little bit of difference to the ones that I've played. I do like the various scoring cards that change from game to game, but I really came back to it trying to better my score game after game. And I think that's something that you do with many of these roll and writes. You're trying to better that score, trying to, maximize your score. And while I haven't won many games, this is one that I enjoyed and I do look forward to playing some more. So if this is one you think might be up your alley, why don't you check this out when it launches on Kickstarter April 26th. I want to thank you guys for coming through and checking out the channel. If this is your first time here, why don't you hit that subscribe button along with that bell icon. That way you can be notified anytime we drop new content. But if you have any questions about this game or just some comments down below, is this one that piqued your interest? Why don't you drop it down in the comments below? I'd love to chat with you. But my question to you is, have you played the original game, Dice Hospital? I'm a big fan of worker placements. Let me know what you think of it so I can figure out whether or not it's worth checking out. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.